Hello friends, Satyendra here, and in this video, let's understand boundary blend in depth in Creo Parametric. So let's get started. And to explain it, I have couple of parts with me. So first one is this one, then the second one is this one. This is third one, fourth one, and at last, this is the fifth one, the crane hook. So whenever we have a irregular shape, we go for surface design. So this crane hook is a classic example for an irregular shape. So except this portion, the whole shape is irregular. So whenever we have a irregular shape, we go for surface design. So if you go for model tab and this group, the surface group, you will see a set of commands which is used for surface design. So you have boundary blend, fill, style, freestyle, restyle and several other commands to do the surfacing. So here in this video, we will mainly focus on boundary blend and understand all the conditions to use boundary blend. Now for this video, I will do two different parts to explain boundary blend. First is this crane hook and the second one is this handle. So this is a handle part which is totally having irregular shape all around except this portion, and to do this kind of part, we generally use boundary blend. Now first, let's understand all the conditions to use boundary blend, and for that, first I will drag this up till here. Now whenever we have multiple sections with multiple path, we go for boundary blend. Boundary blend can also be used only for multiple sections without any path. This section can be in the form of sketch or in the form of edges of existing surfaces. So here in this part, I have both the combination. I have two sections in the form of sketch and one section in the form of edge. Now when you go for boundary blend, you select all the sections one by one. So you should have the proper sequence of your sections. So this is the first section, this is the second section and this is the third section. So you cannot have this section as a first section, this as a second section and this as a third section. So once you complete your boundary blend, you get this kind of result. So now here I have used three sections with two path. So this is multiple section with multiple path. Now let's see the second part, which is this one. Now here I have used two separate paths with two half section. So when you go for boundary blend, first you select the section. So boundary blend can also be used without any path, but the moment you apply the path, it follows the path. Now let's see the third part. So here I have three sections and two separate paths. So when you go for boundary blend and select multiple sections, by default you get one result. But the moment you select the path, the shape changes. So when you remove the path, see the shape is changing like this, and when you select the path, the shape follows the path. So boundary blend can also be used with path or without any path. but you must have multiple sections. Let's move to the next part. So here also I have 3 sections and 2 paths. So as per this section and path, the shape forms. So when I go for boundary blend, select this section and the path, it gives you the possible result. Now when you see this crane hook, this is also created using boundary blend. So here also you have 2 paths and 3 sections. So let's start with this first part. So I have this drawing file with required dimension to design this part. So boundary blend can be used with path or without any path. So when we use boundary blend without any path, it works just like blend. So when you go for blend, you only need multiple sections but no path. But whenever your requirement is such where you have multiple sections with multiple path, then you can only go with boundary blend. So here for this part, I have 2 paths. One is this path and one is this path, and then I have multiple sections. One section is here, one section is here, and one section is here. So it is very clear that I have multiple sections with multiple path here. So I can use only boundary blend to design this part. So let's start this part, and for this go for new part, solid, assign the name and say OK. You can switch on your datums if you needed. Now whenever you have multiple sections with multiple path, first you draw the path so that you can link your sections with the path. So to form a boundary blend, your section must be linked with the path. So I'll go to the sketch, to the front datum plane, I'll say sketch, normal, switch off the datums. So let's draw the path, and for that first I'll place one sketch center line. Now this gap is 5. So I'm trying to create this path, and for this I'll go to spline. I'll start with here. I'll go like this. Now the dimension. So from here till here, this is 10. Then from here till here, this is again 10. And from here till here, this is 20. So likewise, now make all these dimensions equal. So I'll start with this, so that if I change one dimension, it will be applied to all the dimensions. So if I make it 15, it will move like this, but this is 10, so I will leave as it is. Now I will draw one center line somewhere here, and I will try to make this curve normal to this. So for that, you need to go to the dimension, select this curve, this point and this reference for the dimensioning. This must be 90 degree. Same with this side. Select this curve, this point and this reference, make it 90. So one path is done. Now I say OK. Now the another path. So you can create this path as a separate sketch, or you can add within the first sketch. Both are acceptable. So first I'll create one circle to this reference and another circle to this reference. Both circles will be equal. The radius will be 20. Now go for delete segment. Delete this segment and this segment. Now the dimension. So from this point to this point, this is 25. And from this point to this point, this is 30. Now I'll draw an arc, which is just like this. This has to be tangent with this and with this. Go for delete segment and delete this segment, this segment, this segment and this segment. Now this dimension is radius 80. So both the paths are done. Now say OK. Now the next thing is creating the section. So I'll start with this bottom section. So switch on your datum plane. So on this plane, I need a sketch. But first, you generate the reference. So go for reference and click this point, this point. Now you go for palette. And select a rounded rectangle. Close it. Drag it here. Scale, you can make it 5 and say OK. Move this line to this reference and this line to this reference. Now this is 25. Draw a center line and make it symmetry. So this node and this node should be symmetry with this. Now this radius is 2.5 and say OK. So one section is done, which is linked with these two paths. Now the second section is coming somewhere here, but to link it, you must create a node there. So draw a center line just like this. The gap between these two is 40. Now go for datum point and place one datum point somewhere here and here. Say OK. Now if you go for datum point, you will see these two references. Now to create the second sketch, go for sketch, then go for datum plane, select this datum plane, press and hold Ctrl key and select this point. Say OK, go for sketch. Now here also you go for reference first and select this point and this point. Now you go for normal. You can add a sketch center line to ease your work. Now here as a section we have a oval. So you'll go for ellipse, 2-point ellipse. Select this point and select this point. The gap of this ellipse is 25. Say OK. So this is done. Now the third sketch. So for the third sketch, I can use the edge of this surface or I can go with a sketch. So I'll show you both of the result. So first I will create one sketch. I'll go for reference and I'll generate this reference and this reference. Now I need to have a circle which is passing through these two references and say OK. There is something wrong. I must have this reference and this circle should pass with this reference. Say OK. Now your sections are done and your path is done. Go for boundary blend. Select this section first. Press and hold Ctrl key. Then select this section and select this section. So by default you are getting one shape. This you can clean with the nodes. So if you go for control points, you will see the node. So you have 8 nodes here. Then this is the second section. You have only 2 nodes here. This is the third section. You again have 2 nodes. So here we have not selected the path yet. So it is acting like a blend. But the good thing of boundary blend is you don't really need the equal number of segment as the blend. So if you are going for blend, your all 3 sections must have the equal number of segment. So to correct it, I'll go to this section, edit it, and here the only thing I'll do is I'll divide this line here and this line here just to form the proper node to align the sections, and I'll say OK. Now once this is done, once again I'll go for boundary blend, press and hold key and select other 2 sections. Again go for control point, and this time you have 2 new nodes here. So this node will help me to align these sections properly. So I'll click here and I'll select this node, and based on this node I can select other nodes from multiple sections. Now you see, it is forming, but there is no path involved. So this result is just like your blend result, where you use multiple sections without any path. So the moment I go for the path, I need to click first here, and then I can select this path, press and hold Ctrl key and select this path. Now you see the shape. Your shape got changed because it is following the path along with the sections. I'll say OK. I'll just hide these 2. Now what I'll do is I'll create a surface just like this to form the third section, and then you will see the difference between these 2. If you are using the edge, what result you get, and if you are using the sketch, what result you get. So for that I'll go for revolve onto the front datum plane, normal. I'll go for reference. I'll take this as a reference and this as a reference. So normal. I'll add a datum center line for revolve, a sketch center line here. Now we know that the gap between these 2 is 25. So this should be 12.5 to have this datum center line in the center of these 2. Now I'll draw one circle like this. Delete segment to delete this segment and this segment and this segment. Now I'll say OK. Say OK. So once your sketch is open, it forms the surface. So it has moved to the surface. See the preview and say OK. So now I can use this edge as my third section to form the boundary blend. So go for boundary blend, select this sketch, press and hold Ctrl key, then this edge, then move your cursor to this edge, right click to select the entire edge. Again select the path. So I'll select this as a first path, press and hold Ctrl key, and this as a second path. So you are getting the similar result. Say OK. Now if I hide this and unhide this, there is no difference. So the actual difference is when you create a boundary blend using the edge, you can assign tangency to these two. So now if you zoom this area, you won't see any edge forming here. But if I hide this and unhide this, you can easily see one edge forming here, because this surface is not tangent with this. So if I go for this boundary blend, edit it, and if I try to assign tangent, you won't get any result, because when you assign tangent, you are telling that this surface should be tangent, but you don't have any tangent reference. This surface should be tangent with what? It cannot be tangent with this sketch. It can only tangent with an existing surface. So when you have an existing surface like this, then this surface go and become tangent with this surface. So to apply the tangency, you must select the edge of that existing surface. So if you create this boundary blend using sketch, then you cannot do that. So that is why I will suppress these two items, because I don't need that. So till here everything is done. For this surface, I have assigned tangency with this surface. Now once this is done, I will go for this bottom portion. So switch on the datums, select this datum plane and go for extrude. Once again go for reference. And I'll select this reference. Now I'll go with a center rectangle, just like this. Then the dimension from this reference till here, this is 5, and from here till here, this is 40. Then this gap is 30. Say OK. Downwards, this is 10, and say OK. Now if you see this part, this portion is solid, but above that, this entire portion is surface. So you need to convert this surface into solid, and for that you need to solidify it. So to solidify any surface, the surface must be a closed surface. So if you see this surface, this is open from this side, and if you see this surface, this is open from this side. So if I hide it, you can see that this surface is open from this side. So there are two separate surfaces. So when you combine these two surfaces as a single surface, it will be closed from this side. So we need to stitch this surface with this surface to combine it, and for that you select this boundary blend and this revolve by using Control key, and then you go for merge. See the preview? So sometime you need to flip it to get the proper alignment. So here it is perfect. So I'll just say OK. So now if you select this merge, this is a single surface which is closed from this side. Now to solidify it, this surface should be closed from the bottom, from here. So that is also needed when you don't have any solid material in the bottom. So here, suppose you have things like this open, then you need to close it and stitch it with this surface. So to close that, the second sketch, you can go with fill. So the closed sketch will be filled with the surface. Now once it is filled, you can select this merge with this fill and once again go for merge. You see, now it is merged. Say OK. Now this merge is having single surface all around closed. So I can select it and I can go for solidify. See the preview? So now this got converted into solid. Say OK. So this process is needed when you don't have any solid material covering this bottom portion. But if you have a solid material covering this bottom portion, then you don't need to do that. You can just merge these portions, select that merge and go for solidify. Now instead of replace surface, go for fill with solid. See the preview? Flip the direction. Once again see the preview. So now it is completely solid and say OK. So this is only applicable when a solid is covering the open portion. Now once this is done, I'll go for round and I'll go for these edges. This is 7.5. Then one more round which is coming here. This is 3. And your part is done. So this was the first part, and here you understood all the conditions to use the boundary blend. You understood about fill. Now in the second part, which is our crane hook, you will understand boundary blend in much more detailed way. Now practice it and see what difficulties you are facing. If you face any difficulties, you can write the details in the comments and I will try to reply it to solve all your issues. So that's it from this video. Now you can like this video if you find this video helpful, and I'll see you in my next video. Thank you.